Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. We are live in Phoenix, Arizona. XLIX means 49. I'm not so good with Roman numerals, but we are here in Phoenix. Luke is here, of course, riding shotgun. We're on the floor at Radio Row at the Phoenix Convention Center, and all sorts of people. We get to meet new people. So, Luke, one of the things I say, every year we're going to meet somebody we haven't met yet, going to give us a story. Dave Vobora is here, and he is Mr. Irrelevant, right? I mean, one of many Mr. Irrelevants.
Yeah, but the only one to start in a rookie year.
Okay.
So,
we had our own.
Fire back.
Just give me a foot in the door and let me go play ball.
Who was our Mr. Irrelevant? Cam Quayle, right? We had Cam Quayle. Now, you guys get to, go to, Anaheim and run around.
Ball. Playboy Mansion, drove Lamborghinis, Disneyland behind the scenes. I mean, if you're gonna be a late pick, you might as well be the last pick.
Be that guy.
Yeah.
But you actually played in the league a number of years, also with the Seahawks and lots of different things. But more than that, you're doing some Wounded Warrior stuff. So let's start with that, and then we'll go backwards into football and Steve Spagnuolo amongst many others. Your journey, Idaho, right?
Yeah.
I keep telling my wife how beautiful Boise, Idaho is, and Sun Valley, Idaho, and she keeps saying at some point I'll take her to Yellowstone. Here's the problem with Idaho, with the skiing. Who in the hell would want to pick up when it's snowing at home and fly somewhere where it's snowing even worse? I want to be out here in Phoenix where I can wear flip-flops.
I agree with that. They're palm trees. There's something to that. But the powder out there,
yeah, well, if you're a skier.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. No, I
water ski.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I know some Polish people named Ski, but other than that, it's the only skiing I do.
Yeah, look, Idaho was a great way for me to develop. Mr. Irrelevant, went on to the Rams, became a starter, had a great NFL career. To me, as I retired, I looked for what was next, right? And it was natural to go, okay, coaching. And matter of fact, I was in touch with Spags, looking at front office. What's next? And that passion.
Spags believed in you, right?
Look, I would go to war for that guy, still would. And to me, as I found this gym and I started to train guys, and I met a guy that was a quadruple amputee. One of 5 to ever live after losing all 4 limbs and being blown up. And I started training this guy, and I was amazed at what he could do. 100-pound sled pulls, and I'm watching him, and I'm watching what the NFL guys that are training alongside are doing. Suddenly their toe doesn't hurt so bad, right? Suddenly a little bit of perspective.
There's no doubt about it.
And it branched into a foundation for me. So I started a nonprofit, the Adaptive Training Foundation, and we service wounded warriors, adaptive athletes, people with traumatic car injuries, stuff like that. And it's the biggest reward that I do day in, day out.
Where are you based?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. All right, so you get into this after football. I guess most people don't realize how short a football career is. But when you're Mr. Irrelevant, you got to figure, all right, if I hang around 3, 4, 5 years, I've done pretty good. You hung around 3, 4, 5 years. You did pretty good. You must have been preparing for some of this stuff before you even got into the league, because it was a big question mark as to whether you'd make it at all, right?
If the NFL's not something you have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, I was all in. You had to be, right? Look, white guy, white linebacker, to say that most, right? So dying breed in the NFL. No, I knew that I was going to have to set myself up, so I was very passionate about my school while I was in college, very passionate about building my brand, right? Whatever that means. Right. I mean, I know what it means now. At the time, you're thinking it's going to kind of go on forever.
Sure.
But as I sunk into the community in Dallas, it really, really supports the veterans. And I wanted to kind of carve out a niche that we owned, that we could really restore hope through our movement. And what it is it's not rehab, right? Everybody, they're used to these kind of stale environments, these really dry sets. What we want to do is competition, and we want to push it. So we're allowing them to fail safely within our types of training, some specialized machinery, other things, we're just pushing it. And it's amazing when the physicality comes back, what empowerment can do.
How many Wounded Warriors have you touched personally?
15 in the last 3 months.
And all Dallas-based people?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, Travis Mills, the quad amputee, is actually up in Maine now. He moved out of Dallas. But, yeah, the goal is to break this thing even more national. We're going to see 10 new Warriors every 9 weeks for intensive training, and we roll our alumni back in to mentor the other guys that are coming in. I'm looking at pairing some kiddos with amputations with my veterans as a training buddy. So the whole goal here is create a community that people can depend on each other. And even though the battleground of football and the battlefield of war look different, there's a mutual respect when you get veterans and athletes together.
Dave Vobora here, longtime NFL player, linebacker, and the founder of Adaptive Training Foundation in Dallas, Texas, and a former Mr. Irrelevant as well. I've been irrelevant for, 23 years on the radio now, right, Luke? Something like that? I know you got football stuff. Go for it, man.
Yeah, and Dave, I mean, clearly you're here at Radio Row and seeing your former team, the Seahawks, back at the Super Bowl second year in a row.
Not even wearing lime green, this guy.
Right. How much fun is that for you? I mean, clearly you played for Pete Carroll for 1 year, and you hear so much about him being a player's coach. We saw in Baltimore, Steve Spagnuolo, your former coach in St. Louis, a guy who has a reputation for that as well. But speak to what Pete Carroll's done. So many questions about him coming out of USC and how that run ended. But what was your experience like working for him?
Yeah, Pete was amazing. I think my last year there, the pieces were coming together. The back end was unbelievable. I think the only lacking piece, which you saw displayed, for the whole world to see, was the front end. Now they got the pass
in
rushers.
11 we came out there and you guys beat us.
Yep.
With Tavares quarterbacking.
Tavares Jackson,
yeah, I mean, that was a rough day.
Right. Well, and you throw in now you got Russell Wilson. Okay. Right. So and it's I got the question earlier. Are the Seahawks just bad at drafting their high picks because they seem to land these good picks? And I said, if you're winning games, you're not bad at anything. Right. In this business, as long as you're winning, that's all that matters. So I think that Pete has done a really nice job this time around in the NFL, allowing his guys to be them. I think young coaches, I know with Spags, like there's certain things you maybe try to do too much at times. I loved Spags. I love playing for Spags. I think of all the coaches I've ever played for, he might be the highest character coach that I've ever been around.
Wow.
But both coaches that definitely have a love for their players, want to just kind of release them off the leash. And I think that's something beautiful about the NFL is if you trust your guys and you keep it simple for them, you can do that.
You miss it?
Oh, heck yeah. I don't miss how I feel on Monday mornings, right? Fair. Crawling out of bed. But no, of course you miss it. I mean, I had some injuries, some concussions, some things happened, and I weighed my options, and I definitely miss it. I think what I've supplied myself now is the new fire, the new passion.
You get up every morning to help people, right? I mean, what better way to do things than that?
No, it's great, and it's another problem to be solved. It looks different. I don't get to take out the physical piece, but that's where some weights come in.
Dave Vobora here, the founder of Adaptive Training Foundation in Dallas, Texas, helping the Wounded Warrior folks. What the league has done, and I certainly with the Ravens, seeing John Harbaugh and all the coaches on the sidelines with the green and I think the league also taking people over to Afghanistan and Iraq. Certainly the league has gotten involved in these issues with veterans.
Yeah. If you just look at the league too, the traumatic brain injury stuff, there's a lot of conversations with these guys and the Warriors too, and I think there's just a ton of parallels with guys, the right chemistry, the right endorphins being released through working out, and kind of the medical field how it's come behind, and what the NFL has done, putting their money where their mouth is in some of the research. So I think that there's a lot of parallels, and I think that as weird as it sounds, like I thank these guys because they're our heroes, right? They protect our freedom.
Sure.
But as strange as it sounds, I've had so many of them come to me and say, hey, look, for 3 hours when I was on deployment and I was watching your game, I was home. And you can't marginalize that. That's something that's really powerful. They say, hey, look, even Cleveland Browns fans say this.
But not Steelers fans.
But literally, that's what they say. They say, man, this really matters to me, so thank you. And you're blown away because you don't even feel like you can accept that.
Well, I think the league has such power in general. Just the fact that we're all out here, everyone follows it, and then there's some air in the football that's too much or too little. And
I didn't think we were going to get to this.
But I think we spent the week talking about this. Yeah. I mean, you played the game like everybody. You probably got your ass kicked by Brady and Belichick. I mean, that's part of the deal is they've beaten everybody. And the questions, certainly from the Rams, old school Rams, going back to the first Super Bowl, where they felt like maybe they lost because of that. I think cheating is – we were sitting here talking about war and Wounded Warriors and football and rules and integrity. You're talking about Spagnuolo. Where's the integrity when you're cheating? And how can you be a hero and cheat?
Yeah, I think that – did it affect that game?
Winners never cheat and cheaters never win, right? And I taught that. Yeah. But in this case, they cheated.
Yeah, I think that there's a fine line there, right? So, there's certain advances in the game that are assisting. Look at the gloves these days, right? Like some of these catches, Odell Beckham, and they're brilliant. Right? He has to get his body in that position.
Lester Hayes had Stickum in 1977.
True. So, I understand it, especially in the kicking game, as far as the inflation of the ball and some of that stuff. But ultimately, the score, I don't think, was dictated at all by what those balls, the amount of air that had those, that was in those balls. So to me, I think you went past it. Danny Amendola is a really close friend of mine. I talk to him every week. I mean, he was absolutely unaware. Was Tom Brady? I don't know. But regardless, I don't.
Oh, come on now. What do you believe? You played the game. What do you believe?
I think he knows what he wanted that football to feel like, and the equipment guys did it. And regardless how far it was outside of the range, I don't know. I mean, it's a cold day, and air weighs differently in different places, and Sketchy.
Yeah, it's
sketchy.
interesting.
Sketchy's the word. Sketchy's not a good
and
word.
It's interesting you mentioned that fine line because we've talked about this. I mean, when the Ravens went up to Foxborough in the divisional round, there was so much talk about them using an ineligible receiver, reporting that whole thing. And it really, to me, it becomes where's the line between that, which is within the confines of the rules, but certainly I think qualifies as some gamesmanship. I mean, you're trying to use some trickery, and it worked for them on that drive, versus something like this where it could, it appears that there's at least a potential that this was an egregious act where they knowingly altered the footballs after the referees had suspected it. So I mean, it's where is that line? And I think that's something that we're as a media, as a football fan, all of that, we're taking a look at that. Okay, how much of this?
I think as a culture, what do you say to your kids when you're cheating?
Well, and you're even hearing certain quarterbacks, Ray Lucas, who we talked to at one point. We talked to others. Some guys have really been dismissive as far as how big of a deal it is, and then you've heard other guys like Mark Brunell and Troy Aikman really speak out against this. So it's very interesting to see how it's all defined. I mean, what's within the rules is there, and if you're breaking the rules, it's cheating. But I always go back.
You're a linebacker in the league 4 years. You played football all your life. If you're on the linebacking core of the Ravens during that drive, and they're bringing in eligible guys, and you're out on the field, did you know what the hell was going on? You played the game in a long time.
Absolutely, in an instant, because you're so used to the objective rules of the game, right? This exactly how it is. The structure. Yes, correct. And so those things trigger. Yeah, I would have been very upset. I mean, I don't know if you can take away from what they've accomplished this season, the victories the Colts win, but.
Well, if the Seahawks win this week, we won't have to worry about it.
There you go.
Just go beat their ass. That's all. Everybody's got lime green in their heart a little bit here this week. So, talking to a former Seahawk here, I'm all good with. Dave Vobora is here, NFLer and a former Seahawk, as well as a St. Louis Ram, promoting the Adaptive Training Foundation. Tell everybody how to find what you're doing for Wounded Warriors right now.
Go to adaptivetrainingfoundation.org. You can check it out. You'll see videos, and again, you'll be amazed what these guys bring in their workouts, what they do. And again, I'm trying to get them to realize that just because they got blown up doesn't mean now they're unique, right? Now they have an even more amazing story, and they can use that to not only inspire, but I'm trying to get them to build their brand, to begin to look at castings, to look at one of our guys that's playing in the Wounded Warrior game this Wednesday night was just an American Sniper. A good buddy of mine. He actually serves on our board for our foundation. So what I'm telling them is, look, you have a platform now to reach people, to do something really, really incredible. So seize it. Go out there and maximize it, and who knows what that looks like, but if nothing else, at least you have control of your own recovery.
That's a good message for a lot of people I know. Right there. Dave Vobora here, adaptivetrainingfoundation.org, correct?
You got it.
That's how we find it. Hey, Mike, nice to meet you, man.
Awesome having you.
I'm glad Chris brought you by. Luke is here. Dave's going to jump out. We are live at Super Bowl 49. We are in Phoenix, Arizona on the Convention Center floor, and we will be talking to all sorts of former athletes, inspirational folks, giving you websites to go to while the weather's not so good at home. I'm not going to rub in the weather here because we are in an air-conditioned room at this point wearing sweatshirts. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. You can reach Luke at WNST.net. I am nasty at WNST.net. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all around the world, as well as in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault if you miss anything. In the palm of your hand from Arizona all the way back to Baltimore at WNST.net and AM 1570. We are WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.